And joining me now, I'm so pleased to have Austin's sister and brother, Megan Tice Malone and Simon Robert Tice. Megan and Simon Robert, thank you so much for joining me. I've spent over the years talking to your parents, but it is so good to meet the two of you. Megan, talk to me about what you know about your brother and, probably not his whereabouts, but how he is being held.
We know that he is in Syria. We know that he is alive, and we believe that this is the time to bring him home, that this, in chaos, that there is opportunity, and that this is the moment now to bring him home and reunite him with us.
And how were you told that he's alive?
Unfortunately, we can't dive into too many of those details, but we have had independent and verified confirmation. It's been verified in many branches of the USG that
the U.S. government
only supports what President Biden has said multiple times now, that he is alive.
And he said that in his speech before he was leaving and answered another question. Simon Robert, let's talk about your brother. Help us to better understand the courageous, reporting that he did, and more about him as an example of someone who would go into a conflict zone.
Yeah, well,
of course, had this unhappy result.
Thank you for asking. I think for me, not having Austin around is the biggest story, because we haven't had an opportunity to develop our relationship, and I've heard a lot about the amazing things that he's accomplished in his life. But when he was taken 3 days before my 19th birthday, my awareness of those sorts of things was completely different than what it is now at 31. And so being aware that he's been gone and we've been missing him is kind of the biggest impact for me. And at this current opportunity, we see a chance to bring him home and kind of fill that hole in the story and in our family.
And if I can step in and say, when Austin first told me that he was planning to go to Syria, we were together in Egypt in 2012 in the spring, and the words that he said to me, I will never forget. He said, I have to go. I have to tell the story of what is happening in Syria. No one else is there, and if anyone has the skill set to survive, it's me.
Because he was a former Marine.
Yes, and even before he was a Marine, he is just the kind of person who is so intelligent and so compassionate.
And what has been your contact? You've met with Secretary Blinken.
Yes, we met with Secretary Blinken on Friday, and we had multiple meetings at the State Department, at the White House. Unfortunately, our brother still is at home, but we are hoping that they will continue to press and take the action necessary to bring him home.
Do you think that the government is doing enough to try to find your brother?
I think that the evidence kind of speaks for itself in the sense that he hasn't been returned to us yet. And we have a strong faith in the American government, and we were all raised with a faith in the American government. And we believe that as long as he's not home, there's always more to be done.
Megan, what's the impact on your mother and father?
Oh, my goodness. Well, 12 years is a lifetime. There have been 5 grandchildren added to the family. Birthdays, graduations, countless holidays and things to celebrate. And, their ability, my mother especially, to be able to be the grandmother that she wants to be and to be able to plug into our lives. Her huge and obvious, clear focus is getting Austin home, as it should be. And so, I tell people all the time, I don't just miss my brother. I also miss my mom, because it has stolen her life away from her as well.
No, she's a fierce advocate, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen her at journalism gatherings. Washington Post has embraced her cause very vigorously.
Yes.
Simon Robert, what example do you think that Austin Tice provides for journalists and for people covering conflict zones?
For me, I think he exemplifies that the work is necessary, and it's something that we cannot give up on, and it has to remain a top priority to keep journalism front of mind, and not only as our ability to be aware of what's going on in the world, but how to impact it as well.
And, there's great opportunity. There's certainly joy. Richard Engel, who himself was held for days in Syria by one of the groups and thankfully returned to us unharmed with his camera team. But there's great opportunity in the change, the rebellion, taking control of Damascus. There has to be fear. These groups include many who are descendants of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. There are terrorists in this group. The leader is saying all the right things right now, but we have a $10 million reward on his head because he's on the terror list. So you don't know what could happen in the chaos, right?
It is true that we don't know. And the only thing that we can say is that we are appealing to anyone that has the authority and the ability to reunite our family. I can't speak to Middle East affairs. That's not my area of expertise, but we are appealing to anyone who has the ability to make this reunion happen. And we are hopeful that in this chaos, the opportunity is created and that the right people will do the right thing and bring him home to us.